Hi everybody, it's great to be back here again. Tomorrow's Friday, Parashat Pinchas. And this week's portion I would like to relate to some of the verses that deal with leadership. What is true leadership? To try to understand a little bit and what was very, very unique about Moshe Rabbeinu. And if we look at our portion in chapter 27, verses 12 to 23, those are the verses I want to talk about that framework and some really specific verses within that framework. And God, as we all know, tells Moshe Rabbeinu to go on the mountain, Har Avarim. That mountain is called the Mountain of Passageways, because really there are different ways from there to enter the land of Israel, from Jordan to go to the other side. At that moment, they were in the plains of Moab. And that mountain is really called Har Nevo. The mountain, as we know it at the end of the Torah, is defined as the Mount Nevo, where Moshe Rabbeinu passes away. And it's very interesting, and we'll get back to that, is that the word for passing away here, God says to Moshe Rabbeinu, V'ne'esafta el amecha, you will be gathered to your nation. The word ne'esaf in Hebrew literally means to be gathered. So it doesn't even use the word die. As we all know, the righteous really don't die. They're just, going on to another realm, another spiritual plane, just like God says, just like Aaron did. And here we learn, we see that there is life in the future world. V'ne'esafta, you will be gathered to your nation, to others who have already gone there, and you'll be following, and you'll be going to them. And that's just on the side issue. I want to get back to that, hopefully in the portion. But as we go on, God explains to Moshe Rabbeinu why he will not be able to continue his leadership of Israel because of the sin of striking the rock. And we all know for someone on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron, that was considered a grave sin for them, and therefore that caused them not to be able to enter the land of Israel. It was a very painful blow for anyone to hear that their leadership is going to end and they're going to have to, pass it on to someone else. On any human level, it's a difficult thing. But Moshe Rabbeinu, we see that he's not concerned with his own personal self, which a true leader isn't, but he's concerned about his people. And here, one of the claim that he's making to Hashem, he's making a claim that is for the sake of the people, not for himself. And let's go on to see what that claim is. And Moshe speaks to God, and he says to him, Yifkod Hashem Elohei Ruchot lechol basar ish al ha'ida. Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, appoint somebody. If it's not going to be me, he says, well, then appoint somebody over the nation. Now, he uses an unusual expression, Elohei HaRuchot, the God of Ruchot. Ruchot literally means, what is a ruach? We look in the Bible, it has different meanings. It could mean wind, it could mean spirit, right? It could mean, the lights of the soul. So what kind of, we never see this expression calling Elohei Ruchot, the God of the Ruchot. That's an unusual expression. So why does Moshe Rabbeinu use that term in relating to Hashem over here, which is very fascinating? And he goes on, and Hashem reveals to him that there is going to be a leader, and it's going to be Joshua, and Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded to place his hands on Joshua and make the appointment, and Joshua will work together with the high priest Elazar, a Kohen, the priest Elazar, the son of Aaron. He will work together with him in taking over the leadership. And Moshe Rabbeinu promptly does as he was commanded. But what is the claim? The claim that Moshe Rabbeinu was making over here, and here there's a fascinating, teaching. Or Chaim HaKadosh brings it down, is that Moshe Rabbeinu's soul was intrinsically intertwined with all the souls of Israel. It's brought down in our esoteric teachings, is that the generation of the desert was united to the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu, as we all know in the book of Numbers, if we go back to the portion of Balotcha, Moshe Rabbeinu says to God, when the nation was complaining and doing crazy things, Moshe Rabbeinu says, I didn't give birth to this nation, I didn't become pregnant with this nation. And the Chaim HaKadosh brings down the teaching over there, and he says, well, we learned from here, Moshe Rabbeinu knew that although he didn't give birth to the nation, or he wasn't pregnant with the nation in a physical sense, but he was their father in a spiritual sense, because anyone who teaches them Torah is like their father. So Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't, totally push away his responsibilities as the father of them, because he was teaching them Torah, and they were all intrinsically united in a soul level with Moshe Rabbeinu. So Moshe Rabbeinu, of course, would never give that up. It's part. First of all, it's a spiritual connection. You can't destroy something spiritual. It's everlasting, that connection there. But he, of course, was complaining a little bit of how is he going to deal with this nation that is sinning, etc. So whatever it is, we see from there right away that connection. And Moshe Rabbeinu was so connected to all the souls of the people of Israel. What does that connection mean? Well, we can learn it out from Rashi. Rashi gives a beautiful explanation, and he says, Elohei Uchot, the God of the Uchot, of the wind, of the spirits, all that. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, why is this expression used? Rashi is explaining, why is this expression used? Amali Fanav, Ribono Shel Olam, Moshe Rabbeinu says to God, Master of the universe, Galui v'yadu lefanecha, it is known to you, Dato shel kol echad v'echad, you know the hearts of every person on earth. Veinam domim ze leze, and they're not, one person is not like the other person. Minna alehem, and he appoint upon them a leader. She has sovel kol echad v'echad lefi dato. Please point a leader for these people, someone that's going to be able to bear each and every one of those people. And that's fascinating when you think about it. We all are individuals. Every person has a unique way of thinking, of expressing themselves, direction in life, needs, personal needs, things that he's sensitive to, etc. The list goes on forever. And a true leader is someone that could spiritually connect to that individual that is standing before him. That's a true teacher, a true leader. And he could feel the pain of that person. He could feel what that person is lacking. And before that person even has to ask, he will ask him, is that hurting you? I notice that's bothering you. And that's the kind of leadership we need. And that's Moshe Rabbeinu was so concerned that if now he's going to be taken away to another plane, another world, another realm, what's going to be with the people of Israel that are so connected and intertwined with the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu? And that was something that was so, for him, so painful. And he knew in reality that no one was like Moshe Rabbeinu. Even Joshua, his greatest student, didn't have that same ability that Moshe Rabbeinu did. He had it on a certain level, but not on the level that Moshe Rabbeinu did. And that was his claim. Hashem, if I leave the world now and I'm not going to be able to be here, what's going to be with the people that need that personal attention that will help them, will be able to guide them in life? And I'm not going to be there for that. So please, Hashem, find someone that can do that. So it's interesting, Hashem comes up with, when he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, the leader of Joshua, together with the high priest, there's going to be some kind of connection there. They're going to work together. But it still is not going to be a Moshe Rabbeinu, that's for sure not. And only, of course, the secret is with God. There can not always be. That situation is a very, very, the highest possible connection that can possibly be. But leadership requires, we see from here that leadership requires that connection. When you're a parent and you have, each one of your children have special needs. They're special needs, right? Every child is a special needs kid. And your grandchildren, you connect with everyone, everyone is different and what their needs are because you're very close to them. Think about how we are in our family, right? Good parents are able to feel and know how to deal with their children, know what they need. And then you'll ask them before they ask you. And you connect it to every one of your children. And think about that. A leader like Moshe Rabbeinu is connected to the entire nation. Everyone knows they have a place to go to listen to. And of course, it's mind-boggling to imagine such a thing because it's physically impossible to be able to take a nation of 600,000 men alone. Think about it's about 3 million people. You can't obviously see 3 million people within a short span of time, surely not even a lifetime, actually, to meet 3 million people. So how is that possible to get to every heart? And the answer is when you are so connected spiritually and in that way that even though you may not be able to every person come in direct contact with, but your heart is with theirs and you are healing and rectifying and sending them positive energy, even if you're not actually talking to them in that way. So that's very powerful. Only a leader like Moshe Rabbeinu, that's the highest level of leadership of prophecy ever. No one will be like Moshe Rabbeinu. Oh, the Messiah, God willing, is going to be close to Moshe Rabbeinu, but not his same level. And that's something that was a one-time thing, And Moshe Rabbeinu is making that claim, Hashem, From here we learn out, the Or Chaim Kadosh brings out a beautiful teaching. He says, well, this is likened to the Talmud in Nidarim, in the tractate in Nidarim, it deals with oaths. When a person is ill and you're coming to visit that person, so our rabbis teach us that you are taking 1/60th of that illness. It's really fascinating. So the Talmud asks the question, wait a second, so if that's the case, so bring 60 people, everyone takes part of it, and you'll be done with it, right? But the answer is no, it's not exactly, it works that way. The Talmud says it's a person takes away 1/60th, and then what's remaining, 1/60th, what's remaining. So it will always be something, but you could definitely weaken that illness. But we're not going to talk mathematically now. But which is fascinating about that teaching is that the Talmud adds something very, very interesting. And it says, it's not everyone. This is another answer to the question is, how could it be possible? I can just get a lot of people over there and be done with the illness. But no, in order to heal that person, you have to be on the same, it says mazal, the same age. What do you mean the same age? It doesn't mean exactly the same age. But you have to be connected to the person's soul, that, in other words, in that same mindset, in that same mazal, as we say, that same connection in the star connection, the mazal as we call it. If you're connected to a person in reality, to his heart, and you are there and you're visiting that person, you are relating to his illness and you feel his pain, you are definitely healing that person. You're able to take away part of his illness, and that's the beauty of love from one to the other. When you love somebody, you're visiting them, you really care, you could literally save a person's life. And that is leadership. When we're talking about over here, the Or Chaim Kadosh is saying the same thing as of true leadership, when you are reaching out to everybody and you're feeling your people's pain and anguish, and you really care so much. That is the kind of leadership we need. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, if I'm going to go, it's not going to be anymore. That's as his level. He said, who's going to be able to take over this? And Hashem, said, everything. The decision is with mine, Joshua. Joshua will do this and whatever. But that's the lesson. And here, I think, we're living in a world where so much we need true leadership. And we see it in the world, like everyone's, every time people look for leaders, and we lack leadership. And thank God in Israel we've had, I really admire Netanyahu as a prime minister, who's done tremendous for Israel, and in his level, and it's really, you see when it really cares. But unfortunately, he has to suffer so much for those who are coming against him in such a time of war and trouble in Israel. It's painful to see, but his leadership is a very unusual man as a leader. I'm really impressed with it. And of course, we wish he would be more, much more connected to his spiritual roots. But he is. He's coming closer, and I think we have a lot really to be thankful for. A leader like Netanyahu, who's led us through the situation that we're in, which is very, very grave, difficult situation. But in the world, like Donald Trump, the United States, people looking for leadership, and we're disappointed, of course, with Iran, but. We don't know how things are going to play themselves out in the end. In reality, we follow Hashem. God is the true leader, and Hashem will find, will put up those who have to lead the world, and eventually the world will reach its redemption and light. But when you have elections and people are choosing those leaders, and on everyone's level, obviously no one's going to reach that level of Moshe Rabbeinu, but you want a leader. You want a leader that could be really connected, that really cares, that really, his heart is with the people. And that is the most important thing of leadership. If a true leadership cares about his people and about humanity in a real, true sense, there's nothing greater than that. That's what we have to learn from Moshe Rabbeinu. And learn this lesson. Israel has to be a light to the nations, the world. Any true leadership can't look for his own glory and honor. Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't running around now when most people leaving the world soon, they want to take care of their own personal things, but no, Moshe Rabbeinu was concerned with that only one thing. I want a leader that can take over, that his heart will be connected to the hearts of the people of Israel, and that could continue to lead them, to walk with them in and out. He stressed that many times. That is really what was his concern, and that's what we need. That's what we're lacking in the world. When the world wakes up and has people that care and are selfless and just want to care about really helping, total selflessness and just giving themselves totally for the people, the world will be in another state. And that's what we're praying for. That's really what Messiah is all about. When the world will be rectified and we will have that true leadership in the world. When someone not on the same level as Moshe Rabbeinu, but close to it, will become and be able to lead Israel as a light to the nations. The love that we'll have for mankind. It's not only redemption first, it's a redemption of the entire world. The world will be redeemed and cleansed, but through Israel, through the nation of Israel building its third temple, the world will reach that level where each heart will be rectified. Each person will find their direction in the world. And that's really, there's so much chaos, but that's what we need. That's what's going to rectify us all. Well, we're waiting for that special moment. It's coming soon. Shabbat shalom, b'sorot tovot, yeshuot v'nechamot.